Hey, it's Aaron, and today I have a question from Nancy. Nancy says her car requires premium gasoline, but her brother-in-law, who is a very knowledgeable maintenance and repair guy, said that she can use regular gasoline and be just fine. She wants to know if that's correct. And the answer is no. Um, very simply, no. For a very long time now, vehicles have had what's called a knock sensor. Engine knock is when the air or oxygen level in the engine and the fuel are not aligned. They are not mixed correctly, and you end up with the with a well combustion issues. And that combustion issue it used to create you don't hear it as much anymore, but it used to create what was called knock. It was a pinging sound inside the top of the engine. And that pinging sound was because things were not firing at the correct rate. And so things started to go off. You would have things like your valves aren't moving correctly, your timing might be slightly off now, lots of little things that all add up. And today's engines, they all have knock sensors. Most of them have more than one. And what they're doing is they are measuring the fuel and air mixture coming in and then going out. They're closely tied to or a part of the O2 sensors that are also in your vehicle. So there's a caveat to this. If your vehicle does not have turbocharging, then you are probably okay for a while using lower grade gasoline, but you will eventually encounter problems. It will cause issues down the line, but it will probably take a while. If you have a turbocharged engine, it will cause issues sooner than later. And the reason for that is just because you're putting more pressure on the engine with a turbo. And so the engine, if anything is out, is more likely to have problems because of it. So what's happening in the vehicle? This is, I don't know, I'm trying to think how to illustrate this without getting too technical. So let's see, the knock sensor specifically, what it's looking for is what's called pre-detonation. And that's when the detonation that happens, so the little tiny explosion that happens in your cylinder that causes the pistons to move up and down and turn the engine. That detonation, if it happens too soon or takes too long, then the engine is going to have issues. When you have a lower grade fuel, you usually end up with detonation that happens slightly too fast and then takes too long to finish. So it burns too long. With a higher octane fuel, you tend to have a faster burn. It happens like this instead of like this, right? So what you really have to worry about is the repercussions of taking longer. So the knock sensor will notice that, and then it will change things. It will say, hey, we need slightly more fuel, or hey, we need slightly more oxygen. And it will start adjusting what's going into the engine. Those adjustments will not fix the problem because the problem is the fuel itself, not the mixture, right? So it cannot optimize for that. It can try to get really close, and it probably will, especially on one that's not under pressure, a non-turbo engine, but it will not ever hit that right balance. And that's because it is expecting a certain octane level, and it doesn't compute for a different one. Like you can't go into the computer and say, oh, I filled you with 83 or 85 or whatever. That's what we're using. There's no option for that. So it assumes that it is using 91 or better octane because it does require premium fuel. The other thing you're going to notice is performance problems. So the first thing you're going to feel is your car is not going to feel as quick, and it's not going to feel as confident. It's going to feel slower. And it's going to feel like it takes longer to get going. That's your first issue. You're also going to see your fuel economy go out the window because now you're just going to be using more fuel or not enough fuel, and both scenarios mean that you end up using more fuel per mile because it's trying to make up for things, and it's just not happening. Or you're going to stomp on the pedal harder and use more fuel because it's not getting enough. All of those are not good. So the issue here is that if the manufacturer says that you have to use premium fuel, it's not because they're in league with Chevron or some other company trying to sell you a bill of goods. It's because they built the engine with that in mind. The most common vehicles that I've seen that require premium fuel are turbocharged Ford models, so F-150, in certain configurations, the Explorer vehicles like that, and then you'll see it in a lot of similar turbo vehicles. So you'll see it in some of the newer Toyotas, some of the newer General Motors options, a couple of the Dodge and not Chrysler, but Dodge and maybe Fiat. And so far I haven't seen it in Jeep, but it could exist in Jeep, and I'm just not aware of it. But it's becoming across the board really common, way more common than it was 5 years ago, and 10 years ago this was unheard of. The only people that were using the high octane premium fuel were people in sports cars and stuff, but that's all gone. So you really do need to use premium fuel if your vehicle requires it. So if it says in your owner's manual, it will usually say right where the gas cap is, premium fuel only. If it says that, pump the premium fuel. I know it costs more, but that's the price you paid to get what you did out of that vehicle, to get the higher efficiency, the better drive quality, all those things. That is the price you're going to have to pay. Now, in a handful of cases, it's possible that the extra money paid for the premium fuel is made up for on the higher fuel economy returns, but that's fairly rare. It's usually bigger vehicles that will see that. In smaller vehicles, there's not enough of a difference. But again, do not put low octane fuel in your vehicle if it says it requires premium fuel. Put at least 91, probably 93, depending on where you're located in the country. So where I am at high altitude, low octane fuel is 85, not 87, and high octane is 91, not 93. That's my answer, Nancy. Hopefully this helps. If you've got a question, please hit me up. You can find me in the comments down there. You can maybe the social medias or something. Just make sure you tag or DM. Email. You can find me all kinds of places on the internet. Just hit me up and ask. I'll do my best to answer that question. This particular question was asked via Quora. So I do actively look through questions on Quora, and the ones that aren't just troll BS, I try to answer them. So there you go. That's yeah, that's what I got. This has been Aaron. Talk to you again soon.